everybody, and welcome to the Level 30 Games podcast. It's Tom. We're here with Joe. It's just the two of us today hanging out, talking some video games and such. We hope you're having a lovely day, whatever day it may be for you. Joe, you been good? You been well?
Sure. Yeah. For the purpose of the podcast, yeah, I've been great.
So we're here today to talk about a few things. Of course, I have another game queued up for Joe now only, and I don't think you're gonna do well with it, Joe. This one's challenging.
Damn.
I know. I'm sorry. We'll get to it a little bit later. We got some things to talk about. I hate even bringing this up because I feel like we brought it up so many times before. But now that we've got like confirmed reports of some Nintendo hardware activity on the horizon, probably discuss that for a little bit. Talk about what we're playing now, which for me is Zelda. So we'll do our, at this point, monthly Zelda check-in. But I think we're going to start to teeter into some more spoiler-ish stuff. I think at this point, it's been a few months. We'll preface anything, but I don't want to hold back any. So if you haven't played it, or you're planning to play it, or you recently beat it and you got amnesia and want to play it again, cool, man. Lucky you. But we'll probably dip into some spoiler stuff just a little bit there. And take a little forecast at what August looks like as far as game releases. Very quiet month, as I think it tends to be one of the more quiet ones. Recent reports have come out. There were a couple outlets that actually substantiated this claim, and otherwise it would kind of fall down into rumor and speculation, even here. But there are a lot of outlets reporting that dev kits for Nintendo's next console are out to some developers and partners, and that they're targeting a release anytime after in the second half of 2024. So basically July, or I should say after July of next year. And that's kind of exciting because everyone, including us, have also been talking about a Switch Pro days after the Switch came out. And finally hearing something of what's coming next, because, man, Joe, seven years is a really long time for hardware to exist.
Has it really been that long?
2017 is when the Switch launched, March of 2017.
Oh my God.
And if now we're looking at end of summer of 2024, yeah, we're on a 7-year spectrum here.
I hate it.
But have you hated it over those 7 years? I would argue, as a Nintendo fan,
It's been a pretty great 7 years.
it's been a pretty great 7 years.
Well, here we go for the Nintendo lull.
Well, you say that, and that's actually typically true, right? Like, hey, new hardware's coming, and everyone knows it. Nintendo says nothing because they know that as soon as they do officially say something, sales plummet, and no one pays attention to whatever last gen, current gen they're in, and it doesn't seem like that's going to be the case. I mean, we already had our direct a month or two ago indicating what's coming the second half of this year, as well as some things that are trickling out for next year. No, I think the landscape for software is looking pretty good. Mm-hmm. Like there's some good stuff coming out in November, December, and trickling in the next year. So there's too many like unknowns to know what's going on with new hardware. They're already starting to speculate that it's not going to have an OLED screen. It's going to be an LCD screen like the Switch, which is disappointing only because I just upgraded to an OLED. So I will be buying new hardware again next year, but not having the same quality screen is going to be kind of a downer.
Yeah, it's a bummer.
It is. That screen is pretty gorgeous.
But does that mean it's confirmation that it's the same as the Switch in the sense that it's like a portable and home console?
Yes, I do believe they're saying it will be like a hybrid system.
Okay.
Again, so that form factor is going to be pretty similar. I would hope that it sticks with a similar design as well. I mean, I don't know if they're looking at kind of like they did with the Wii U, where they said, okay, here's our new tablet controller, but all your Wii stuff still kind of works on it, right? Like you can still use your Wiimotes and all that. Mm-hmm. I would love to be able to still be able to use the current Joy-Con as well. So if that's the case, then I would imagine the size and shape would be identical.
Yeah, knowing Nintendo, it'll probably come with like adapters or something that'll make it kind of like awkward but still usable.
Or even as long as I can pair them. I don't need it to fit on the system.
I mean, in theory, it's Bluetooth, so if it doesn't work, it's because they don't want it to.
And they have been known to make some really weird hardware decisions like that. So you never know. So what sort of aspects to like a Switch successor would be most important for you? Like, what would you look at and say, okay, new hardware, cool, but what are you looking for in that that's going to make you go, see a Switch, you're going to be now collecting dust in a closet somewhere?
I don't know. There's if we're going with a hybrid console, there's not a whole lot that you can really change. Like, yeah, they can change the form factor and the size and whatever, but realistically, in the end, the only thing that I would think they could do is make it more powerful. Anything else is kind of a gimmick. And like, we have motion controls, they could improve on those. We have haptic feedback in the Joy-Cons, which is not going to be a system seller, but it's something that they can improve on as well, because the haptics are nowhere near as good as they said they were supposed to be.
Yeah, they kind of really talked those up. HD Rumble. Yeah, all right.
Yeah, no, yeah.
I think it just became a feature that was less and less important. Like, I don't need this to feel like, what's that one game in 1-2 Switch where you're like milking a cow? Like, I don't need it to feel like a cow's tit. I just just rumble when I shoot stuff, and or if I'm near like a secret, like, you know, like, I don't want it to be, it doesn't need to be that dramatic, I guess.
Yeah. I feel like there's not a whole lot they can do that wouldn't be gimmicky. But I mean, if you think about it, that's kind of what happens with the other consoles, like with Xbox and with the PlayStation. Like, the PlayStation got like the touchpad on the
yeah, that's true,
on the controller. The Xbox got game streaming.
Connect.
True, Connect came around a long time ago, but yeah, I mean, they could add something like that. I'm hoping they don't, and they learned with the sensor bar, the Wii sensor bar, and they're like, maybe we won't. But yeah, like, they can improve on it. Realistically, the only thing that I guess they could do that wouldn't be excessively gimmicky would be to introduce VR, either VR or AR. The Switch as it is now isn't powerful enough.
No.
I don't know if a new console could keep a similar, could keep the portability and still support VR without having some sort of extension. You know, like, the dock would have to be more than a dock. It would have to be able to increase the power
like a
of
GPU
it.
kind of.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I don't know if they'd want to do that, because it seems like they, not even for money, it seems like they'd want to, if you do that, you run the risk of games not working in both environments, both home and portable. And
it's true.
90-something% of the games do. There are a handful that, like, you have to play portable, but that's just because of the game. But I don't think they want to run the risk of somebody putting out a game and saying, like, well, the power of it really needs that extra dock, that external GPU dock. So it is a possibility. I wouldn't put it beyond them, but I think it's not super likely. But yeah, VR and AR seem to be like the only things that I could think of. I guess in theory you could get some low resolution VR the same way is it like the Google VR for Android used to work? They give you like,
like the Google Cardboard?
Yeah. They give you the cardboard headset, and you can just drop your phone into it. You can just like drop your Switch into it and attach it to your face.
Well, Nintendo did do the stuff with Labo, which I think actually had like one of the sets was like a pseudo VR thing.
You're right. I forgot about Labo.
Yeah, which is odd because it's such an interesting concept, and it was like, oh, this is kind of cool, and then there wasn't any more of it.
Yeah.
But maybe it ran its course. I still have a set over there. I never opened the box. Does, like, obviously I think a hardware bump is a given, right? Like, they wouldn't call it a Switch 2 or whatever it's going to be if they weren't upping the specs. Presuming that's all they do, is that enough to say, okay, cool, I'm on board? Or is it enough to say, I'm interested, prove it to me? Like, obviously when the Switch came out, it was comparable with like your base PS4s, right? Well, we're beyond a base PS4 in the video game landscape now as far as home consoles, right? The PS5 is, I can't even fathom how that functions. But like, where would this console need to rest to say, okay, that's enough of a progress for me? Like, we don't think it's going to be hitting PS5 or Xbox Series X level graphics, right? We're not talking ray tracing and 60 frames locked and, like SSD speeds and all this stuff, right? Or are we?
I could see ray tracing because it's the buzzword right now. So I could totally see ray tracing coming. Overall, it's not going to, I don't think it's going to hit the graphics levels of a PS5 or the new Xboxes or anything by any means. And Nintendo's never really been about that. They're always willing to sacrifice some of the graphics to make sure that the games are good.
Yeah,
Right?
I don't think I would need my games looking super stellar because, I mean, I've come around on Tears of the Kingdom. Initially, I was like, not great, but the more I played, I'm like, this game's gorgeous. Like the art direction is just beautiful.
There was I forget who, I want to say IGN, but I don't want to call them out because we can't afford that. But somebody did a review where they said like, oh, Nintendo's showing that you can still make a great game without it being like the most like aesthetically pleasing or beautiful game, and I'm like, are you kidding me? This game is gorgeous.
Yeah.
And not even within the context of the power of the Switch. It is genuinely beautiful.
Yeah.
And then if you remember to put it in the context of the power of the Switch, you look at it and go, how did they do this? Like
and it's only like a 16 gigabyte file, which just blows my mind every time.
It's incredible. It really it's actually like a pretty decent like marvel of their software engineering because
And compression.
But like, I mean, they do a lot of tricks to make it work, obviously.
Oh, sure,
but
sure,
they couldn't otherwise. Like there was, I forget what I was doing, but I was playing at one point and I like spun the camera around, and by the time I got all the way back around to where it was, the thing that was standing right in front of me was gone, and it was like, okay, because they unrender and delete objects that are off the screen, even if they're like right next to you, to kind of save that power, and like that's what they have to do. But
yeah,
it was actually more aggressive in Breath of the Wild, which didn't run as well. Like you can see pretty far in Breath of the Wild, but not as far as you can in Tears of the Kingdom. Plus, you can look upward and see the Sky Islands above you. Skylands.
Skylands.
You can. I guess you can't really look down, but like there's a lot that you can see in every direction, and there was a lot of pop in Breath of the Wild. There's not a ton of that in Tears
Not
of the
in
Kingdom.
a aggressively distracting way. Like it's there. I don't mind it. Like, oh, there's something popped in like 3 mountain ranges down. I don't need to see what that is anyway. But yeah, get what you're saying.
But it really doesn't grab your eye quite as much. Like the textures would stream a lot more aggressively in Breath of the Wild than in Tears of the Kingdom. And granted, Tears of the Kingdom or Breath of the Wild is a port technically.
Yeah.
And Tears of the Kingdom is like made for that. But the difference is pretty staggering between the two.
Maybe not readily apparent right away, but the longer you invest into that, you could definitely tell, okay, they spent 6 years making this and they've learned quite a lot in how to optimize this machine for what they want to do. And that's, very impressive.
Yeah, so they pulled a lot of power out of it. But overall, I think just increasing the power so that you can get better games out of it is probably enough to sell a lot of people, because that extra power enables you to make your games better. Like on the Wii U, we couldn't have Tears of the Kingdom the way it is now because it doesn't have the power to run that, and you're going to lose out on things because the game won't be as fun because it's not going to run as well. You can't see quite as far. You'd have to have loading screens between like the Sky Islands and like just right on the Earth, I guess, and then underground, but you don't have to. You can just jump between them right now. So the extra power allows you to do things like that, and that changes the dynamic of games. Like we didn't have the open worlds that we had right now just like a generation ago.
True, that's true. And I would like them to just try taking existing formulas, but then saying, okay, how can we do more with this? Like, I don't need Mario Kart 9, for example, to have like the most blazingly intense visual flair, although Mario Kart 8 is still really pretty. But you know what? Like, let me race up to like 50 people locally. Let me get 50 people on a track and like let chaos ensue. Like that would be okay, cool. There's an interesting use of pushing hardware. It's not to make everything look prettier. It's because now you've got 50 different inputs like all converging onto one track. That'd be cool. I just got to make 40 more friends, and then we'll be good.
You're not even ruining friendships at that point. You're ruining entire families.
You put 50 people on Baby Park, you will lose friends and lives because that track sucks. I said it. I hate it.
I like it, but I usually do pretty well on it.
For me, that being said, I think one of the biggest things I would like to see is and I know it's become a subject that used to be pretty common between console generations to a degree, especially with some of their handhelds. I mean, Nintendo is very smart to say, hey, we have this new thing coming out called the DS, and it's just really different. But to make you feel a little bit better about it, there's a Game Boy Advance slot underneath too. So if you move over you have games, you don't need to worry about kind of hitting the reset button on your software. I think if the next Switch continues to stick with cartridges, and it feels like they're going to, I would very much like to see it, like, hey, you can put the new games in here, but you can also put the old games in here. You're making design decisions based on, okay, well, the form factor is good because we have to compromise playability and battery life, and people have Joy-Cons. We want to make sure that they can fit. I really don't think that screen's getting much bigger, right? So to say, hey, here's a device that is almost identical in size and shape to the one you have, but all the internals are just better, right? Like things we kind of, when you buy a PC or you build your own, you're kind of like, it's going in a case. It doesn't matter what it looks like on the outside. It's all about what's on the inside. And that doesn't always translate to console gamers, especially folks maybe that are less technically inclined or aware of how things function, and they just see, well, here's a Nintendo that just came out, and here's one that came out 7 years ago, and they look the same, so what's the difference, right? Like those are the, when grandma goes to buy it for her nephew or whatever, like that's what they're going to look at and go, this doesn't make sense to me. Why would I pay more for this one when this one looks the same? I would love to see, it's got a beefier engine and processor and all that stuff. Throw a solid state flash in there. Why not? Like, make it better than wherever they're at now, which I think is 32 gigabytes or 64. I don't even remember.
Something.
But I want to be able to play all my Switch games in it.
Mm-hmm.
And that might be selfish.
I don't think so. There's a lot of good games on Switch that are not really that old. Replay value is there. If you want me to upgrade, then let me recoup some of that money by selling my old one.
That's a good point too, right? It also then is kind of like a double-edged sword, right? Because you say, hey, all your Switch games will play on this if you want them to. That doesn't make a very compelling reason to then have to purchase that, right? Like, well, then what's the point? If it's going to play the same, it's not like Mario Kart 8 is going to run any better on a new system.
You don't know that.
I mean, true. I don't know that.
You'll have the new games that'll run, and then the old games they might not look better, but they'll run a little bit faster because they'll have more resources. But have you ever seen people who run games upscaled in an emulator?
Mm-hmm.
Same exact thing. They can potentially upscale those games and make them look nicer on the new console.
It's true. I can upscale it to run in 4K, despite the fact the screen is only 720p. But hey, it's running at 4K.
That new screen better be. I guess the new screen doesn't have to be 1080 because even the Steam Deck is 720.
Well, they tried this experiment too before when they released the new 3DS, and that's what it was called. And it was a really poor naming decision. But they said, hey, here's our new handheld, or a new handheld, pretty much the same, but it's got beefier innards. And there are games that will only play on this because they need that extra processing power.
It also had the nubbin.
And it had the nubbin as like a pseudo second joystick. That did not stick around very long until people were like...
Yeah, nobody cared.
Well, developers didn't take advantage of it.
No, there were very few games that required it.
Yeah, there was only a handful, and I think...
Well, all of the DS games were a handful.
Oh, because it's a handheld. I thought you quit.
Yeah, I came back so I could make that joke.
Oh, boo.
Worth it. Totally worth it. You can keep my last paycheck. I don't need it.
Sweet, good.
As long as that stays in the episode.
I'll put the $0 back in my bank account. So we've seen that kind of not work very well, and I think the difference this time around could be that the market would dictate that, no, we need more powerful hardware so we can put more, I want to say relevant, but recent games on it. I mean, the Switch is kind of a port machine to some degree, right? So now we can stop, all right, here's all the 360 games we're going to throw on Switch. And I heard this the other day. I don't know if this is true, but apparently they're looking to bring Red Dead Redemption to the Switch. The first one, not the second one.
Okay, I was like, that's going to just destroy the Switch.
Yeah, the second game is gorgeous.
Talk about pop-in.
Oh, dear.
The grass under your feet is going to be shown.
Well, They did, and I haven't played it personally, but they did get The Witcher 3 on there. And that's a pretty big game.
That's true, but I think if you play it handheld, it runs at like 180p.
That's probably...
like 12 frames per second.
So I wouldn't be surprised if Nintendo is saying, all right, well, look, we know sales are declining, and that happens after 7 years because only so many people don't have this yet. But like developers are saying, hey, listen, we're at a point now where we're not developing a game across 3 platforms because you're so far behind technologically. So, it made sense at one point to say, yeah, no, we're developing this game for Xbox, PS4, and Switch, and yeah, we're going to make some compromises on the Switch version. Now we're developing for the PS5 and the Series X and the Switch, and there's no comparison there. Games look great on the Switch, but from a technical level, I can't fathom they're close.
Yeah, graphically, power-wise, like, they are miles and miles and miles ahead of the Switch.
So I'm wondering Nintendo's approach with this from a marketing standpoint. Does this become hey, we're putting new hardware out there, and yeah, there's beefed up internals, but the form factor is the same. So do they market it as like a big new thing, or is this this is the iPad 2, and you know what you're getting with it, and it's backwards compatible, but eventually you're going to get to a point where, we're getting Mario Kart 9, and it's not going to run on version 1 of the Switch. Like, is that kind of where they're going? And I don't know. I don't know what that would look like from a marketing perspective.
Yeah. I feel like when you're selling physical copies of something, that doesn't work as well, because like the iPad is able to say like, hey, this won't work well on your iPad 2, or just completely remove it from the store, so you can't even install it because it's all digital. When you're selling physical copies to say like, hey, you require, Switch 2 and up to run this game, people are gonna get confused. It's just not gonna be as easy to sort out as opposed to just going up to the wall at GameStop and being like, well, that's a Switch game and I have a Switch, so I can buy that. And that's whatever the next iteration would be. That's a turnover. I can buy the turnover games. I can play those. So
what's a turnover game? What?
That's my code word for the new Switch.
Oh, turnover.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. See. So yeah, my point is, when you're selling physical copies, it's not as easy. Like, you need a clearer delineation between the consoles. If the Switch and the new one, whatever, the Switch and the turnover, if they were all digital, then yeah, you could do that, because you can just remove the things that won't run on those consoles from visibility in the store.
I hear what you're saying, and that makes sense. But I also feel like, again, marketing materials. Look, they can say all the new Switch 2 cases are purple, so like don't buy the red one. Like people aren't going and buying a PS5 game and coming home saying like, this doesn't play on my Switch, so what the fuck, right? Like, they're not. Consumers aren't.
Don't say it.
They're not that stupid.
You worked at a game store though, so
yes.
People have purchased games for their wrong console before.
Well, not if I'm there to assist them in buying it for the right console.
Okay, but you don't work in a game store anymore, and more specifically, you don't work in every game store.
This is true. So yeah, I don't know. I was thinking like, oh, okay, so like, where are they going to make a grand announcement? Is it going to not be as big a spectacle because it's kind of the same? And is that going to impact? Like, I don't know. I can't imagine this being something drastically different, which is like, I guess, a blessing and a curse for Nintendo, because it sold really well the first one. So who knows what a second one will do? But as someone who looks forward to being like, they're going to do something different because it's Nintendo, it's almost like it is that, like, and working in the school system, I get kids because it's every September, right? Like Apple's like, new iPhones. And like, I don't know how many years ago I just stopped caring because they're all the same.
Yep.
Right. So like, there's no excitement behind it anymore. But then again, like a true successor to hardware is really hard to pull off and do something different. This is no longer technologically going from an 8-bit system to a 16-bit system where you're like, wow, there's a clear difference as to one over the other. We're kind of into the gray area there. So I don't know. Is there anything that would make it a day one purchase for you? Like, would you be a day one adopter? After everything we talked about, there's so much we don't know. Say everything we said is true or not true. Pick and choose. I don't care. But are you yep, I'm in.
As long as it's not like we go from like, I forget what processor's in the Switch, but like
Tegra?
that sounds right. It's definitely
Tegra.
a newer Tegra though.
No, it's not.
No, it is. It definitely is because the you know what had a Tegra in it? The Zune HD.
Your
That has,
favorite
like,
thing of all time.
I know, what a great piece of technology. Like the first Tegra was in that. What a great SoC. Anyway, as long as it's not like, hey, we're gonna go from like the Tegra 4 to the Tegra 5. Like, all right, maybe not. But otherwise, like as long as it, Nintendo's doing what Nintendo does and put effort into it, I probably will buy it day one or like week one at least, based around the fact that my gaming setup has now become PC and Switch, because 90-something% of the games that I want to play end up on PC. So I do primary gaming on there,
Right.
and then I can play just about everything else by playing it on my Switch. Like anything that's not coming to PC is because it's a Nintendo game that's on Switch, so I can get my Kirby's and my Mario's and stuff there.
Right.
I can stream a lot of stuff, like a lot of the Xbox stuff. I'm able to stream if I want Game Pass, so that's what's going to cover the stuff that I can't get from PC gaming, and that's more than likely why I'll go with it, because that's how my personal gaming ecosystem has been going.
Sure, and that makes sense. And since you mentioned games being a reason to kind of differentiate between my primary source of console entertainment versus my ancillary, what game would need to be a launch title for you to be like, oh shit, all right, I'm buying that today?
Wind Waker.
So if we see Wind Waker released on the Switch, are you gonna be bummed out that it wouldn't be? And it's a port, so why?
I don't care. I just really want to play it again on a higher definition console. I just want them to acknowledge it.
Have you not played the Wii U version? That was high def. And they fixed a lot of the crappy hunting stuff towards the end.
Yeah. No, I have played it, but it could be even higher definition. While we're on this topic, though, and while we've become the Legend of Zelda podcast.
Kind of. I know where you're going with this, but go ahead.
Did you see what was released?
I did.
I'm very excited and very bummed.
So for those not in the know, Nintendo recently Monday night tweeted out, "Hey, we're putting Oracle of Seasons and Oracle of Ages on the Virtual Console for the Game Boy Color, Game Boy that you can access on your Switch if you have the premium account, which is really cool." But I thought the same thought that you had as soon as you saw that.
We're not getting those remakes.
We sure aren't.
Yeah, this is their way of saying, like, if you want to play the game again, here you go. This is all you're getting out of us.
Yeah, which is kind of a bummer. But at the same time, I did play those games on the 3DS when they were on their Virtual Console, and I probably would have a very hard time going back to play them now. It's just very kind of, even with Link's Awakening, there's so much obtuse, like, hit this bird statue. All right, well, I wouldn't think to do that, but okay, thanks, Game Guide, for telling me how to move on to the next part of the game.
I definitely had trouble with older Zelda games when I was younger for the same reason. Like, I just couldn't stick with them long enough to catch all of, like, the very minor things that you needed to do to progress through the game.
Yeah, and some of that is also just game evolution / like brain training, right? Like some of 50% is like, well, I never would have thought to talk to that person and show him the mushroom I caught in the forest. And the other 50% is like, I didn't think it was that easy, so I figured that was too easy. I wasn't going to try it, and sure enough, it was just like, step on the blue thing. Oh, I was walking around it for some reason. Yeah, so those probably aren't coming. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. I would do many terrible things for another Zelda game, whether a remake or like a fresh new title in the style of Link's Awakening.
All right, so speaking of things that aren't necessarily traditional ports in the video game sense, but are moving video mediums from one source to another. It's a really long, terrible segue. I saw a promo the other day for the TV series adaptation for Twisted Metal. Do you remember Twisted Metal?
Yeah, I loved that game. I did not know they were doing a TV adaptation of it.
Yeah, it might even be out now. I'm not sure. I know early reviews are decent, actually. Like,
Yeah.
it's bad, but it's fun. Okay, cool. Like, I can get on board with that.
Yeah, that's what Testament is supposed to be, though.
Yeah, so that's out now or very soon, I believe. And I think they're looking at shows like The Last of Us, which I thought was great. Shows like The Witcher, which I want to give another shot to. Halo to a lesser extent. And now Twisted Metal to an even lesser extent. But obviously, game narratives have caught the eyes or ears of or brains of TV executives to say, hey, we love making series of things. So we're going to yank some existing IPs because, one, they have an audience. Two, we know we can milk this for a lot of episodes and or seasons. And that just means retention and money and subscription fees. So cool, let's do it. Like, it makes sense. It's actually, streaming makes for a perfect outlet for that. After doing some research and found some other shows that have had, or video games, sorry, that have had rights purchased or are already in production for a TV series. I'm curious how many of these are things you're like, oh, I'm on board for that. Like, I know some of these I can't fathom working very well.
That sounds about right. That sounds
It
like
could be.
the
But-
movie and TV industry.
But they picked some pretty prestige things. And that doesn't always mean it's a recipe for success. What was there's a Lord of the Rings TV show, right? On Amazon? Your face proves my point. Like there was, and they were like, this is going to be a big deal. And then it came and kind of went, and no one really thought much of it. I don't even know if there's a second season. I can't fathom how much it actually cost to make, but I'm sure it was pretty expensive.
Yeah.
So rights purchased, or we've got production taking place currently. Most of these are streaming. The first one on the list is actually from AMC, who does some pretty quality cable television. Alan Wake as a series.
Okay. I feel like Alan Wake had was like lesser known enough that it might end up still being good. They might not ruin it. Does that make sense? Like I never played the second one, but I very much enjoyed the first one.
The second one's not out yet.
Oh, really?
No.
Oh, I'm sorry. The DLC I never played.
Okay. So yeah, no, actually that was one I was like, you know what? I would be in on that because I feel like there's more of a detective mystery kind of thing going on there, and it's less about the moment-to-moment gameplay.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the game is just walking around with a flashlight.
Yeah.
So I think that would actually translate really well. And AMC's done really well with existing IPs, so I think they would support it.
It feels Shutter Island-y too.
That's a pretty heavy compliment.
I enjoyed Shutter Island.
I thought it was great. Yeah.
Great. Yeah.
Assassin's Creed.
No.
Yeah, it's a hard pass for me. Now, I don't know how they plan to take it. Are they going to take it from like the original trilogy where the setup of the game was like, hey, we're going to tap into your DNA to access your ancestors' memories. And there's like this reminder throughout the games like, oh, you know, I'm in a machine somewhere else. This isn't really happening. Like, I wonder if they're going to take that approach with it. I know there was a movie.
You mean the total nonsense approach?
Yeah, I feel like that was a game that came out on the the Xbox 360, and they were like, we have to rationalize the time period. How could we do that? When you could have just been like, it's a pirate game, like, or whatever it is. Go assassinate people. Yeah. That was an interesting take. That's a Netflix show, so we know it won't last more than a season or two. Devil May Cry as an anime. Well, actually, I don't know if it's confirmed as an anime. It's also going to be a Netflix, but a producer from the Castlevania anime series is working on it, which leads me to believe it's going to be an anime.
Probably, and I think it fits as an anime.
Oh, big time! Yeah.
I'm not a huge fan of the series, like the games by any means, but I think the characters and the story and the setup could be attractive enough to make like an okay-ish show.
Yeah, I mean, I'll look at the art style. I like anime, so it's worth checking out. And I thought Castlevania was awesome. All right, I'm going to run through the rest of these quickly just to not spend too much time talking about television, but there are some good ones here. So on the remaining ones on this list, to you, which do you think has the most potential? Fallout, Gears of War, God of War, Horizon Zero Dawn. Believe it or not, there's a Pokemon show in the works, which is Netflix. They want to do a live-action Pikachu series. Not quite sure what they mean by that, but that's what they had said. Splinter Cell and Tomb Raider.
I feel like they've rebooted and played with Tomb Raider way too many times, and they should just let any sort of like.
I know, and I don't know why. It feels like it'd be so good.
Yeah, no, just let it die. Let us have the games because the games are excellent.
The last 3.
Yeah, so good.
Yeah, I really didn't like the last one, but
it's definitely not the strongest of the 3.
no.
But I'll play all 3 of them. I still enjoy
The first
them.
one, that reboot, was so good. It was really good. Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah, I can let that one die.
so yeah, let's let Tomb Raider just go. Horizon could be okay, but I feel like the amount of work that's going to go into it means it's not going to last that long.
Yeah, I think that's good. That like we're talking some of the like production budgets are going to be through the roof.
Yeah. I think God of War could come out and like surprise us all and be like the one that like really sticks and everybody loves.
I can see that.
But I think the actual one would probably end up being Fallout.
Yeah, I guess I don't know. Maybe we've done the dystopian thing for a while, but I think
But it's still big.
it's still big. It allows you to have different sets, right? You can have smaller community-based kind of things. Yeah, I can kind of see that working. I want to say Splinter Cell 2, but I think that's more because, like, if they made... I feel like that would be just, like, a procedural cop show on CBS. Like, that's what it feels like it would boil down to.
Splinter Cell?
Yeah.
There's nothing procedural about Splinter Cell, though, right?
No, I know, but I think that's what it would devolve into.
Okay.
In the vein of, like... All right, we're gonna make it like NCIS, but now it's Splinter Cell, and
Just thinking Splinter Cell SVU.
yes,
I would watch that, honestly.
someone starts committing sex crimes. You just hear the night vision goggles queue up, and they're like, "Oh shit, Splinter Cell's here."
Right, some dude just drops down on their head.
That's right. And Michael Ironside was in it. Oh, he was the voice, right? I think he was.
Was he?
The original? Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe.
I don't know.
Well, I would watch a Splinter Cell influenced show if they called it something different.
Well, it's back in the day when Tom Clancy's name used to have some cachet. Now questionable. I don't know. I don't know if his name's been in anything lately. The Division.
Such mixed things about the Division. I didn't really put a lot of time, if any, into it.
I enjoyed what I played.
But what I've heard was like it was really like it was supposed to be a great game when it came out. Everybody was excited for it, and then it came out to like zero fanfare. And then now there's like some people who are really into it, and some people who aren't.
Enough to make a sequel.
That's fair.
It did get a little repetitive in the later portions.
Yeah.
But I kind of liked it. So yeah, I don't know, folks at home, any of those shows, something that you would tune in on a weekly basis or dedicate a whole weekend to as Netflix just puts everything out all at once to sit down and watch? Maybe.
I feel like Fallout would just end up being like Walking Dead with less zombies. And that would probably go over well for a few seasons until they start insulting all of their fans with their storylines.
Yeah, like The Walking Dead.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. Well, yeah, no, so that we got some good prestige TV, hopefully, to look forward to. Not much to look forward to in the month of August as far as releases. I figured I'd give you a rundown on the list of games coming out this month. Baldur's Gate 3, probably the biggest one on the list, comes out on the August 3rd.
The August 3rd.
The August 3rd. Moving Out 2 on the 15th, which was a really fun co-op game in the vein of like Overcooked.
Okay.
But instead of like making food for people, you have to move them out of their home and pick up all their crap, and it's like silly, chaotic fun.
Okay. Little like arcadey.
Very arcadey, yeah. Okay. But it was great. I enjoyed spending some time with that couch co-op with some people. Vampire Survivors on the 17th, which is a
couch co-op.
Yeah,
because you're moving things.
That's right. Oh God, man, you are on fire. You're getting a raise.
Yes.
Madden 24 on the 18th for all you Madden people. I've got it pre-ordered. I'm ready to go. Armored Core 6 on the 25th, which is not my kind of game, but folks are excited about it. And then a little indie title known by the name of Sea of Stars, which I think had its debut in a Indie Direct or a Nintendo Direct. There's a demo out for it. It looks really, really good. People are doing a lot of comparisons to Chrono Trigger. So, Joe, I want to know about your your Zelda experience, because I have a bad habit of every time I sit down to play of just like popping in to see like, oh, all right, who else is playing this game and how long have they been playing? Does that mean that they're similar in a similar place than I am? And I visited my brother recently, and he was like roughly like 80, 85 hours. Like, oh, cool, that's where I am. So you did this? And he was like, no. He hadn't done like any of the story stuff. He's literally just been wandering around getting temples, not temples, shrines. I'm like, well, how about in the depths? Have you done any of this? What's that? Oh my God. Okay. So like he's doing his thing, and that's cool. I think I just crossed the 100-hour mark. I have like 3 or 4 sections of the map that are still unlocked. I are not unlocked yet. I still haven't gotten to the southwest corner of the map there. What was the last big and exciting thing you did in this game? This is the game that keeps on giving.
I don't know. Because there's not like, this sounds weird, there's not a ton of like big exciting things. There's like the stuff is there. There's the temples and whatnot.
Have you done any of them?
Yes, I've done 3 temples.
What was the order that you have gone in?
Oh God.
Spoiler warning. I guess we're gonna.
Yeah, the one that the Rito guys take you to, where you get the wind temple. The next one was the fire temple. Is that?
Yep.
It's underground.
Okay.
And then what's the third one?
I don't know what order you did it in, so I don't know.
Are there 4 temples?
Seemingly.
Okay. The third one had a bunch of I think it's the water temple.
Okay.
Had to have been.
So yeah. I did it in the exact same order.
Interesting. It might lead you in that direction a little bit.
I think it kind of does. Like, it definitely pushes you towards the wind one first.
Yes.
And then after that, I was like, all right, well, I guess I can go anywhere. But like a lot of the side quests were up kind of in that northeast region. Like I wanted to get the device that allows you to like leave a hotspot to kind of come back to.
With the goggles?
Yeah.
I think they just call him goggles. I know he has an actual name, but I think
I don't know what it is, but yeah, goggles.
I'm so bad with names.
No, me too.
In
None
real
of the
life and
names
video games.
make sense in this game anyway.
That's fair.
So
Yeah,
I want to go up there.
Named Jessica.
Oh.
Jessica with a CH. And I was very annoyed.
In the game?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
There's a girl, so I did a little mini quest, and I'll spoil it to talk about it a little bit, because it's actually like really cute, but it was like a little girl at a stable, and her name was Haiti, like Katie, but with an H.
Okay.
And she's like unhappy because she has to work at the stable, and there's another little boy there, and the boy's like trying to be friends with her, and she tells him about this dream she had of a glowing tree. So he wants to show her a glowing tree, right? And proceeds, like, you don't see this, like, you hear about it, like, they talk about it. He was like, she's really mad at me because I wanted to show her a glowing tree, like, in her dream. So I brought her to this tree, and then I lit it on fire.
I was just going to ask you to put it on fire.
And I was like, oh, damn. Right? And he's up in this tree, and he was like, I don't know what to do. And you go and, like, he asks for, like, lightning bugs. And he's like, oh, if you can get me, like, 10 lightning bugs, maybe I can find some more. And then he's like, all right, so I give him 10 lightning bugs. He's like, cool, oh, this is great. All right, go tell Haiti to come here at night, and I'll show her a glowing tree. And you actually have to, like, go and get her and, like, walk her out to the tree. And he starts playing his flute, and all these fireflies come out. And she was, like, really happy again afterwards. And I was like, oh, my God, this is so cute.
That's sweet.
And he was like, oh, that was great. I put a smile on her face. Now I can leave. And he goes to join, like, the musical troupe.
Okay.
That wakes up all the fairies. And like I talked to her after, and she was like, I like working here now because everyone's so nice and I love smiling. And I'm like, I want to read the fan fiction of like their love story through time. Like I just want it. Well, not as children, but like clearly he loves this little girl, and I'm like, oh, this was really sweet. This was like a cute little moment.
That's cute.
That really didn't need to exist, but it's just one of those kind of Zelda-y things that you're like, this just adds a lot of flavor to a game that I hope other people discover. And I'm sorry I ruined it for you, but or anyone listening. But
it's cuter than the creepy dude in Hateno Village with the frogs.
I don't know if I'm aware of this.
Have you been to Hateno Village yet? With all the mushrooms?
Yeah.
Okay, so there's the one guy who's like staring at somebody else from like behind a sign like a few feet away, and he's like, oh, go ask her what she likes. So you go ask her, and she's like, I like frogs. And then she like whispers to herself like, oh, I was so nervous I was on the spot, and I told him I like something my dad likes. Like, what? So then you go back and tell him, and you've got it, and he's like, oh, I need to find frogs. And you get him like 10 frogs, and he's like, well, I guess I gotta find more on my own. And then you still, I think, have to bring him like 90 more frogs or something. I haven't gotten any further, but he's just like, anytime you go to Hateno Village, he's just like peeking out from behind the sign, staring at this girl. And it's like, buddy, just talk to her. Like, just talk to her.
I do. Yeah, that was the same. So there's a couple different quest lines in Hateno Village that, again,
There's a lot to do there.
There was a lot. And I think I did everything. So I'm kind of bummed about it because they're really cool. Because there's the mushroom fashion lady who's like taking things over, and then the other half of the town, and the mayor's like, no, we're a farming town.
Yeah.
And like the whole town is split on, are we rooted in tradition with farming, or are we moving forward with fashion? And like, she's like, all right, F it, I'm going to run for mayor so that way I can impose my... And it's like, you go to talk to all these people, and it's really cool to see which side people are on, and then...
It's very lively.
Yeah, and there's an election.
Yeah.
It gets really wild. But that was just one of those side quests where I was like, this just keeps going. Like, how deep are they going to take this casual exchange? Like, I get, okay, the towns, the odds at each other with, where they want to be. But no, you have to fix it.
Yeah, and you've got to find all of the people that aren't voting for her to give them mushrooms.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So I honestly, I had no problems with spending like hours and hours in that town because I could listen to the music for Hateno Village just forever. It's so nice.
Even ambience, like some of that stuff is just like as background sound, not just music, is just really peaceful and thoughtful and quiet and lovely.
Breath of the Wild was like that too.
Yeah, I think I'm just appreciating everything more in this. So that was a really cool kind of side quest. I just found a giant horse as well. There's a giant horse that you have to find for someone.
I think somebody mentioned that to me, but I haven't found it for them yet. But that also existed in the first one too.
Yes, but now you can board the giant horse at your stable and take it out whenever you want. So right now I'm working my way west towards the desert area.
Mm-hmm.
I took on a Lionel once.
I can't.
They're terrifying.
Yeah,
I mean, first of all, I didn't see one until, I don't know, 90 hours into the game. And I was like, oh, I should be fine at this point.
Nope.
Not even like threads of health coming off them. I don't remember what color it was.
Can beat Ganon on my first try, still have not taken down a Lionel.
So when you're fusing weapons, what is your average, like what are your weapons at currently? Because I feel like I'm at a point now where I'm like, oh, I've got all these really good weapons, but I don't want to lose them or use them.
They're kind of varied. Like most of my weapons are like not super strong, like high teens or like low 20s. But I've also had a couple, like I had a sword that was like 36. Why are you in like
I have weapons in like the 50s and 60s.
Oh, I don't think I got.
And I'm like, I
far.
don't want to use these yet.
But, yeah, no, I don't blame you because the one that I have that's like in the like mid to high 30s, like I've had it for hours and hours and hours because I don't want to let it break.
Yeah. There's an enemy, like a pseudo mini boss enemy. I don't know what the name of it is, but it's the one that's made up of a bunch of cubes.
Yeah.
So when you defeat them, they like leave stuff behind, and one of the things they leave behind you can't put in your inventory.
No, but you can fuse it.
But you can fuse. I didn't know that the very first time.
Same. They don't tell you. You can like pick it up, but
yeah, I can move it. I was like, I don't know what I'm
supposed
to do with this, so I just kind of left it. And then later, I was like, oh, okay, cool. And those do some damage.
Yeah,
those are
they
your
do.
big ones. Those and the giant rocks when they leave behind something. Those also.
Oh, the taluses?
Yes, I'm drawing a blank on all their
names. Yeah,
names,
they leave like their heart behind.
Yeah, those fuse really well too, and they make pretty good hammers.
Their music is also great when you fight the taluses, because it's very like uplifting and like sprightly, I guess.
Which I guess is fitting because they do come out of the ground.
Yeah. But next time you run into one, just pay attention to the music. It's like this is weird for battle music, but it's very fun.
Okay, I'll pay closer attention to it. The last one that came out of ground also had a giant Boblikin house on it, and I was like, nope, I'm not doing that. See ya. So I just ran away. They
can be a pain in the neck, and it took me a long time to realize how you're supposed to fight them.
How? Because I haven't fought it yet.
You have to, so you have to like usual, like blow up their arms or whatever, or hit the thing to get them to fall over.
Right.
But when in that couple seconds while they're stunned, you're supposed to use ascend to get onto the where the bokoblins are, and then you kill them. But you only have time to like maybe kill one of them before
shakes you off, right?
Yeah, so you've got to like hit it 2 or 3 times and then jump off.
Okay.
Yeah, they take a little bit of effort, but they're nothing compared to a Lionel.
No, and I'm kind of at the point now where like I'm not avoiding combat, but it definitely is like slowing down my adventure, and I'm like I don't want to fight random enemies anymore. So like, oh, there's some people. All right, I'll put on like the little bobblekin mask, and then like they don't attack. I just kind of like wander through.
Yeah.
I think I got through a whole cave just switching creature masks because I'm like, oh, I just want to keep exploring. I don't want to fight all these random encounters. And I actually thought in the early hours of the game there were fewer random enemy encounters, which I appreciated more because it was more about exploration and less about just fighting them. But now I'm finding that they're more common. I don't know. I know the game actually does keep track of like how many you've killed.
Okay.
And scales up appropriately. So if you've noticed, as you've been playing, there's fewer and fewer just like red bobblekins, right?
Yeah.
Like even in the starting area, now they're blue, black, and silver.
Yeah.
So
no, that does make sense.
There's some sort of hidden stat that we don't get to see. So are you near the end? Do you feel like you're like any fatigue setting in?
Maybe a tiny bit, but just because I've been playing the same game for like almost 100 hours, you know? But like, I don't know, there's not really anything that I dislike about the game that's taking the fun away from it. Like it like I was used to it because I played Breath of the Wild, so it's very similar to that.
True.
I will say the only thing that I don't like about the game, the only thing that bugs me is that the writing is not great. The dialogue.
In cutscenes or just
mostly in cutscenes, yeah.
Okay.
Like talking to strangers isn't so bad, but the actual the story, like cutscenes and cinematics and stuff, the writing can be like embarrassingly bad in some points. It's very weak. It's very weak. A lot of it sounds like it wasn't written by like people who do this for a living.
Do you think it could be a translation issue?
Was it ever a translation issue before?
I don't know.
I mean, this is a pretty big game for Nintendo, so even if it's a translation issue, like you'd think they'd have somebody run over it and be like, no, that sounds like crap. Like the story itself is fine.
Oh, so you're talking about the performances?
I guess no.
The voice acting?
The dialogue, I guess. The script, the dialogue is bad. I think it's poorly written. It's like people don't talk like that, things don't happen like that, and it comes off as weak to me, and almost like they were trying to like cut corners or save time almost, but like the game is so huge there's no reason for them to try and save time.
I never got that impression, but I guess I'll try and pay attention to it more. I've been fine with the cutscenes. My only gripe is that I've just been accessing them so randomly that I know, oh, okay, it's time to fight Ganon. Great, I'm just gonna watch all the cutscenes in the order that they're supposed to go, to kind of just make sure the story makes sense in my head, because I definitely think I caught one towards the end that I wasn't supposed to see as early as I should have, and I was like, well, that's kind of a downer, because now the 11 cutscenes before, just like the character's pointless now.
Yeah.
But I don't know. There's still so much more to do. Like I'm almost like I don't even want to do the fourth and final section. I don't want it to be over, but I'm definitely like, I'm fast traveling more. I'm like, oh, I have to go a little bit that way. Yeah, I'm just going to warp here and then jump down because I just, like, I don't want to, I don't know, trudge. So I got a month, basically, is where I'm at. I want to finish this before the school year starts.
Okay.
I just hope that happens.
There are definitely other games that I want to play that I'm like, I'm still working through Zelda and I don't want to, like, let it fall off and not finish the game. So it's like, it is kind of holding me up from playing other games, but I mean, I'm also not sitting here like, oh, I've got to play Zelda. Like, it's not a chore. It definitely doesn't feel like a chore.
But it's definitely I can't play this for like an hour. Like, I got to give it a couple. Like, you do anything, and sometimes I'm like, wow, it's been 30 minutes, and it feels like 5. So when I start playing at 8:30, and then I'm like, oh, it's almost midnight. Okay, I should even when I'm like, I need to stop. I'm tired. My head hurts. I've been staring at the screen for 4 hours. I'm still like, okay, one more thing. Let me just do this. And like, it doesn't feel like an addiction, but man, it's like I just want to keep going in it.
Yeah, and there's a lot of overhead in the game, like to get started. Like you're saying, like you need a few hours to play it. Like if you're like,
it's hard to pick up and do one thing.
Yeah, like, oh, I've got 30 minutes. You spend that whole 30 minutes like walking to the next shrine, and you don't actually get to do anything. So
right,
yeah,
I would say from a percentage standpoint, I don't know, 40% maybe I'm done. I have no idea. It doesn't tell you. And I don't know how much story is left after the initial, like, hey, there are 4 geographical anomalies. You should go look at them. Like, I don't know if that's the setup for, hey, you figured them all out. Cool. Go fight Ganon. Or there's, like, additional main story quests after that.
Yeah, same. I have no idea. Like, I could still be in the first, like, 20% of the game. I have no idea where I'm at.
All I know is I'm fighting shrines like a boss and spending a lot more time in the depths, which is helping find shrines because they're connected. Mm-hmm. And it keeps me busy outside of the main story.
Yeah. The scale of this game, I feel like, makes it just shy of like an MMO. Like, people like put like years of their life into an MMO, and I feel like you could, like, if you want to do everything in this game, there's so much going on. Like, every town's got a story. You're encouraged to go to every stable because there's quests built around visiting every stable.
Right.
There's 3 areas that you can go to. Like, there's just, I don't know. I now understand why it took 6 freaking years for them to build the game. It's just, the scale is massive.
Yeah, I love it. Let's stop this podcast so we can go play.
Okay.
Nope.
No.
Not happening. What we are going to play, however, this is a much better segue than my last one. wanted to play a little game with you, Joe. We're going to test your old school video game knowledge.
I'm 0. I've got a 0.
This is what I was afraid of, but we're going to do it anyway because our listener at home will be able to play along as well. And so what I wanted to,
Mario.
Yeah, perfect. What I wanted to do was I pulled 10 music tracks from NES games.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna fail this.
And I'm curious to see how many of these you will get. I just put a 30-second sample. I don't need to play the whole thing. But what do you think your score is going to be? Because I had you, truthfully, I thought you would get at least 4. And I know that's not generous, but maybe it's generous.
4 out of how many?
10.
I'm gonna go with 3.
We're gonna go with 3.
Yeah,
okay.
I feel like I'm gonna be bad at this. Like, as much as I care about the music in video games, it doesn't mean I'm good at matching it.
No, that's true too. And when it's chiptune,
yeah,
it can get a little tough. All right.
I can probably tell you, like, oh, that game was made by Codemasters. Couldn't tell you what game it was though.
I just think we'd mix it up, do something different as opposed to either trivia or random nonsense. So I thought this could be a fun way for folks to play along. And it was inspired by a YouTube video I saw, and now I'm drawing a blank on the channel, but I wanted to shout it out and I forget.
Just edit and post.
I will put it in the description. I'll put a link to it in the description to make sure you watch that because it was fun. And if you're like an 80s, 90s kid like me, you will also be screaming at your screen for these adults that are not understanding. They did it with sound effects. I wanted to do it with music. So we're going to start over here. I will start off with what I hope is an easy one. When you know it, shout it out. Any thoughts there, Joe?
It sounds like Double Dragon, but it's way too happy.
It's not Double Dragon.
I know. Yeah, no. Double Dragon opens with the dude's girlfriend getting punched in the stomach and like thrown over some dude's shoulders. So yeah, not this upbeat.
Would it help if I told you it was an overworld theme?
It's an overworld theme. I have no idea.
That is from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the video game.
Which one?
The very first one on NES. The one that has the famed underwater dam level where you're swimming and deactivating bombs and it's absolutely awful.
Oh my god. Any underwater level in like almost any game is terrible, but specifically on NES and like SNES, like
yeah,
underwater levels
haven't
were just
quite
torture.
Gotten water physics down yet. All right, maybe this one will be a little bit easier. Man, I hope so. Number 2.
Double Dragon. Dr. Mario.
Yeah, all right. That was one I knew that you would get. This is a song, man, I can hear in my sleep because any family function, like my mom, my aunts, like this was like the only game they knew how to play. So it just became like holiday time. You're gonna hear this song for a couple hours, and it was great.
This is like the only video game my sister would play for like a very long time. So I know that music very well.
Number 3. So far, 50-50. Doing okay.
Double Dragon.
I mean, you could keep saying it. You might be right eventually. I forget what's on the next page. Wait for it.
Yo, I love this.
Joe's too busy dancing over here.
I am. I'm gonna be honest. I don't think I've played this game.
I feel like you have.
Yeah.
Yeah. None of these games are not well known or acclaimed.
It's definitely not Metal Gear.
No, it's not. This is from a franchise whose last game was put out on the Xbox 360. Here it is again. And they ported that game to the Wii U.
Perfect Dark.
Not even close. No.
No, I've no clue.
That's the theme. Not the theme. It's the stage 1 music for Ninja Gaiden. Or Gaiden, if you prefer.
Okay.
All right. This one, I know you're not going to get. So now we're, 1 for 3?
Yeah.
This one is pretty iconic in my mind.
Double Dragon?
But knowing your interests, probably not.
Okay.
It's kind of a clue. Here you go.
Why does it sound like our intro music?
Very similar, actually, yeah. It only sounds like one thing to me.
Is it a baseball game?
It is a baseball game.
Okay, all right. It does sound very baseball-y.
Right, it does.
I couldn't tell you which one it is. Is it like Ken Griffey, whatever? It's even a baseball player.
He is. That was a Super
Look at that.
Nintendo game. You know what?
Okay.
I might give you that one.
Okay.
It's from a game called Bases Loaded.
Okay.
So you got baseball. That's all right. That's pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. How about?
I'm proud of myself.
Yeah. No, I was like, I wonder if he thinks this sounds like a sports game.
It does.
Because it does,
Yeah,
right?
it definitely does. It's the the bass line.
Yeah.
Yeah, very sporty.
Something baseball about it too. No, good. I'm glad that makes me happy. All right, so we're 2 for 4, 2 out of 4 right now. 50% still.
I hit my goal if I get one more.
One of my favorites. Mike is probably rolling over in his grave right now. I can hear him yelling at
Is he dead?
his listening device. No, he just knows the song in this game.
It sounds adventure-y.
It was made as sort of a Zelda-esque type, not clone, but certainly inspired by.
No, that game came before Zelda, I think.
This was one of the dungeon themes.
I don't know. I know I'm not right, but my brain wants to say ghosts and goblins, ghouls, whatever.
Ghosts and goblins, ghouls and ghosts. One of those things.
Played in 25 years.
Incorrect. This is from an adventure game on the NES called Star Tropics.
I don't even ever heard of that.
Oh, it's a great game. Great game. Oh,
Okay.
you're missing out. It's
Yeah,
a fantastic one.
Sat here for my whole life and not gotten that one then.
All right. We're 1 away from your goal. How about this one? This is one of those ones where I think I have my money on. I'm gonna hope.
Double Dragon.
It's not Double Dragon.
Oh, I know this one. Or do I just know 100 other games that have the same sounding?
Probably.
soundtrack?
This is not the main theme or anything. This actually happens when you suffer a defeat.
It does sound like defeat music.
Right?
It's very repetitive.
Yes.
It's usually like plays on like those game over screens and stuff.
Right.
But do I know it? Have I played this game?
Talk it out. If it's repetitive, what also could be happening on screen to match the repetition?
Like the countdown?
Yes.
Or if you want,
Okay. All right. You're not wrong. So there's a countdown involved.
Which means it's probably arcadey too, right? 'Cause
There
usually
is an
it's like-
arcade version of this game.
Okay. Triple Dragon?
Nope.
Nah, that was on SNES. I'm gonna say Super Scope.
It's a sports title.
A sports title with a countdown? This is some pretty serious music for a sports title.
It was this was an intense moment.
Like Blood Ball or something?
No, blood is involved. Not in the actual game, because it was an NES game, but in real life there's blood.
Blood Sport? Is it? This Punch-Out?
Yes, it is.
There it is.
We coaxed you to that. Partial credit on that one.
Okay, that's
so
fair.
You have 2.5.
I'll take that.
You'll take it. Oh, they're all classics. They really are.
Double Dragon.
No.
But definitely a fighting game.
Okay. This was a game featured on the acclaimed YouTube series Press Start. It was one of the few NES co-op games.
Was Streets of Rage on NES?
No, it was a Sega Genesis vehicle, Streets of Rage.
Also a good game, though.
Good game. One more time.
Nobody's going to sit through this part of the podcast. I have no idea.
All right. That's from side-scroll shooter Contra.
Okay. I should know that.
Stage 1 level. I thought that one would have been 50-50 toss-up. This one, good game. Good music.
Double Dragon.
This one actually does sound more Double Dragon-y than the others.
A little bit, yeah. Yeah, it's that lead.
Yep.
I don't know if I know this one, though. Told you I was going to do terribly on this. Not even badly, terribly.
Terribly. Well, maybe that'll encourage Mike or Kevin to show up and compete, be part of this.
School me.
This one was tough, but this was a game that I remember I rented from Blockbuster Video a lot.
Oh, man, that means we've talked about it.
I don't think we have, actually.
No?
No. One more time. How about a genre? Does it feel like anything in particular?
I feel like they all sound like side-scrolling, like beat-em-ups.
This one is not.
It's not a flight game.
No.
No.
Close, though.
Close.
Mm-hmm.
Is it a boating game?
No. Closer?
A skiing game or a surfing game?
No. It was a racing game called Rad Racer.
You know, as soon as you said racing, I was going to say Ridge Racer, but I knew that wasn't an NES game.
That was not. Oh, Joe.
It was a fun game.
We only have 2 opportunities left.
I told you.
I know. Here we go. This is number 9.
Double Dragon. Double Dragon!
Yay! All right, you did it. 3.5.
I was afraid I was going to miss it, but as soon as I heard that, I was like, nope, that's I know that.
Well, you're lucky I had it. You know what it also sounds like, though? Does it not sound like a Mega Man level?
A lot. Wow.
Like, you take away the visuals, and you're like, oh, this is Mega Man.
Yeah.
But it's not. It's the first level of Double Dragon.
Yeah, it is. Wow.
Well done.
You're right. I should get both of them tattooed on my arms.
What are their names?
Oh, God. Billy and...
Todd or something?
I don't know.
All right. Your final one. This one's going to be challenging. I've got no expectations at this point because you've hit your threshold. But if you're playing along at home and you need this to go 10 for 10, well, let me know. Again, in the comments below. And good for you. And if you like this kind of competition, trivia, play along, let me know as well. We'll do more of them. Here's your number 10. You can't say Double Dragon.
You might have to bring it down an octave for me to hear it.
Oh, you don't have supersonic hearing?
So loud. No, I have tinnitus, and that's the same tone.
Oh, so you heard none of those tones. Got it.
No, I just heard my eyes starting to explode. I don't know. There's the shuffling chick though in it, a place where that comes from. Disappointed that you didn't give me Kirby.
Hey, we have several more episodes in our in the can to do.
But
you didn't do too well, so maybe we don't do this.
Yeah,
again.
maybe we don't.
Maybe you need to load up some sounds. Challenge me.
Earthbound.
No, not a bad guess.
Really?
No, yeah, I can sense some Earthbound to it. That's
Okay.
not a bad guess.
All
that
right.
was from Kid Icarus.
Okay. All right, I can see why that wasn't too far off.
Yeah.
But no, would have never gotten it.
No. All right. Well, you know what? There's always next episode, because that's all the time we have for this one. So if you stuck it out with us, we appreciate that. And
love you.
thanks for listening. No, yeah, we all love you. We do. So if you enjoy the podcast and want to tell your friends about it, we'd love that too. And if you don't want to, well, I guess that's okay. But we wish you would, so that others can get in on the fun. And you can say you've been here since day one. Anyway, that'll do it for us today. Thanks for listening. My name is Tom, here with Joe. We'll see you next time.
Bye.